Welcome to the segment we call It Takes an Idiom to Know One, hosted by Sarcastic Scott, Jurassic John, and Artistic Ali. So, John, do you have an idiom for us this week?
Yes, I do.
And what idiom would you like to talk about today?
I have food for thought.
Food for thought. What exactly do you mean by that? Food for thought.
Food for thought is an idiom. It means I'm offering you something to think about.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, I used it in the last week. I attended a meeting, and at the meeting, or after the meeting, I spoke with a colleague and said to my colleague, wow, there was lots of food for thought in that meeting, meaning that we talked about lots of things that we can go away and think about. I'll just hand it over to Ali. Ali, can you think of an example yourself spontaneously?
I can try, John. I mean, to me personally, I've always thought about this idiom as a suggestion
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's exactly what I just said.
Yeah, because the idea is like, for example, hey, like I'm listening to this podcast and it's not really fun. It's kind of annoying. Their sounds kind of bad. Like the quality isn't there.
Not this one.
Okay. Well, of course not.
It's a good example. I'm happy that he could give you one to make you maybe understand it a little bit better. But well, Ali makes a good point. It can also be like a suggestion, and I think that's another subtle way to use it. But I actually received an SMS from you this week, Scott, and it was a picture, and below it you wrote "food for thought."
Right. So those were suggestions because we're looking for photos.
Yeah.
Right. Photos to go on the pod beam. Yeah. So there's like 6 or 7 or 8 photos.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you remember you planted the idea into our heads because you were like, oh, what do you guys think about, so you were asking for advice or suggestions, 7 or 8 different opinions, and food for thought, John. So then you decide in the first place, John. See, you see how,
or I
see
could
how
also
much like more like explicit that is. That's so good, man.
I'm gonna add one more detail to what Scott posted is that there was a pun in there too, right, Scott?
There was a pun, but remind me what it was. I can't.
As in the picture that you shared was a bunch of different foods. And
dude, yes, right. I did. You know what? I like that photo that was taken
all of that
horizontally, but I really like that photo because it's just when they brought it to the table, everything looks so good.
Yeah, that was also a pun. And posting a photo of food and then mentioning that's food for thought could also be a clue to the origin of this idiom.
Okay.
Any ideas of perhaps where it comes from?
Ali,
do you have a hypothesis?
I wish I did. I mean, my hypothesis was more related to, the idea that food actually reinvigorates the mind. It gives you power, so it lets you think. I mean, that's basically how I believe this pun, like this is what the meaning is. But I'm really not sure about the origins, though. I mean, I can't really recall where they come from. No idea.
Maybe before making an important decision, you need to eat something.
That's a very good. Okay, I like that.
Because again, like food for thought, there's a decision that has to be made or will be made.
Of course.
Right. So everybody's giving you different ideas. So maybe you don't make important decisions on an empty stomach.
Yeah, I think that's another one.
Yeah, I think they're two great hypotheses. Actually, I checked, and
and what did you find, John? No, that's good.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, though, I checked 3-4 sources, and every source had a different origin. So it was hard for me to pinpoint perhaps where it comes from. So I like your two hypotheses. They make a lot more sense perhaps than what I read. One hypothesis was that it originated from the French Revolution. People
Okay.
started to question ideas that they were always told, and so thinking became a new concept, and questioning perhaps some established traditions, rules, laws. So yeah, that was one source, but again, I'm not really sure. I actually like your two hypotheses. I'm going to run with them.
Is that post-Renaissance?
Yeah.
Or the French Revolution.
Okay. Okay.
Do you know when the French Revolution was,
I'm
Scott?
trying to think. I mean, that's the Enlightenment comes after that. So
Yeah.
I can
French
give you a
Revolution.
quick French Revolution.
You know, I'm from America, man. I don't know anything about European history.
There's a really easy way to remember when the French Revolution was on. The date is 1789.
So it's just right after our revolution,
No, 789.
1776.
yeah.
So right afterwards, like, okay, like 20 years later.
Yeah.
789? Okay, 1789.
So there you go.
Thank you for listening to In Lingua Podcast, live from Dessau. We hope you stay tuned for more episodes.